So I just wanted to stream for a bit and show how I use Emacs for JavaScript development. It's my default editor. I use it for, well, editing any sort of code. I use it every day, well, at least on the days that I'm coding, which is pretty much every day, since that's what I do for a living. And for the purposes of this stream, I'll be adding a few dependencies to a project. The project is this one. It's basically an echo server, an HTTP and WebSocket echo server. It echoes back whatever you send it, basically. And it doesn't have the most pristine code or whatever. I just built it to play around with Docker and WebSockets and using Nginx for SSL termination, because if you notice, this is HTTPS and how to share HTTP servers. So basically this runs the same HTTP, it runs one HTTP server that is used both by the WebSocket server and to serve HTTP traffic or HTTPS traffic. So the idea is we're going to do this. So we're going to add ESLint and Prettier as dependencies. And then we refactor some code, because right now the code is, well, it's messy. Cool, let's get right into it. So I use Emacs in daemon mode. I use the Emacs daemon basically, and then I use an Emacs client to connect to it. I usually have my Emacs daemon running always. I've just killed it for the purposes of the stream, just so that we can do it from scratch. So I have an alias for it, that's ed, which basically is this. Excuse me. So let's spin that up. It's taken a bit longer right now. Usually it doesn't take this long, but that's probably because I'm streaming and editing on the same computer, and it's one laptop. It's not some big desktop streaming rig. Anyway, the daemon's up. It's loaded up all my settings. The rest of the stuff that's not here will be loaded on demand, as and when I open certain files, and as and when they trigger certain major minor modes. Yeah, cool. So let's open an Emacs client that connects to this. Again, I have an alias for that. That's Emacs client -c-n -c. It basically creates a new frame instead of reusing an already existing frame, which means, say I already opened a frame using Emacs client, and if I did not have the C here, it would reuse that frame. Since I have the -c here, it creates a new frame. The -n basically stands for no wait, which is it does not, my shell does not wait for the Emacs client command to terminate, or the command basically returns immediately, so that I can still use my shell and it's not blocked. Cool, so let's do that. I'm just gonna full screen that, and I failed at doing that. Cool, let's do that. First of all, I'm just going to run bash in here. I usually do this. For the purpose of this, I'm using term or ANSI term because it works well with readline based things. But this is just for the beginning. Usually I use shell or eShell. Anyway, so let's get right into this. Let's see what version of Node we use, like 9. Okay, so if you notice, this whole thing is Dockerized and it uses Node Carbon, which is version 8.11.1, if I'm not wrong. So let's just switch to that. Cool. And let's start installing our dependencies. So I have ESLint, and I have, actually let's leave Prettier for now. Let's just add ESLint. Yeah, this takes a bit. Also, if you notice, when I move around, my windows resize. That's because of this amazing node called Golden. Absolutely love it. It basically resizes my windows based on the selected window using golden ratio. And I know that I'm saying window because in Emacs it's all reversed. What you would call a frame is called a window, so each one of these things is a window. The whole wrapper around it, the GUI wrapper, that's a frame. Emacs. Yeah. Anyways, ESLint is installed, so let's initialize it. ESLint init. I'm just going to use standard because, well, I'm used to it. And this should set up a .eslintrc.js, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it's just installing all the stuff that standard needs. NPM 5 is fast. Cool. Sweet. So let's see what we have here. I use Helm projectile to basically move around in my project. That's here with fuzzy matching enabled. Cool. So it's added this file. I'm just gonna reformat that, and they should be good to go. So let's see if we have any errors in this file, which I would think that we would. So the first error. Okay. More than one blank line not allowed. That's quite all right. That's basically because there's this line here. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to delete that. And I'm going to add prettier and let it do its magic to fix all of this. Because computers. So let's add that. And if I'm not wrong, prettier uses what happened there? Prettier rc.js. Cool. Sweet, it loaded that there. That's good. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to exit this because I don't really like it that much. Instead, I'm just going to spawn what I usually use, which is ta-da, shell. It's much nicer. Why is it much nicer? It's a bit lighter than running a full-fledged bash inside of Emacs. And given that I'm running OBS, I don't know how many tabs of Chrome and tons of other processes all on this machine, including Docker, that's actually running some containers. Yeah, I don't want to really crash things right now. So I'm just going to rely on shell. I can probably even use eShell, which will be much lighter, but let's just leave shell for now. Cool, so prettier RC. It needs some settings that I don't remember. So I use YA snippets, snippets, I don't know how to pronounce it, for snippets. So this one expands out to module export, so I'm not using ES6 modules, just using the the old common JS, modules. Cool, so let's see what settings does prettier have. Ooh, that's a bunch of options. Let's do this. Browse. So I can copy paste stuff from within Emacs. Let's just do it here. This should make life a bit more easier. Cool. So we have some options right here. Sweet. Tab width. The default is good. Semicolon. Semi. We need. I don't use semicolons, so I'm going to set that to false. Quotes. Use single quotes. Yes, use single quotes. It's called single quote. True. Trading commas is fine. Bracket spacing. Default looks good. And then there's a bunch of JSX stuff. Something to do with pragmas and ranges and parsers, which I don't need. So let's get rid of all that. Cool. Let's go back to this server file that we had and now fix this error. Cool. Seems like it worked. Did I name the file properly? Where's my shell? Prettier rc.js. Yeah. So I'm just gonna reopen the server file so that it reloads my JS mode. What I'm gonna do is just save. Boom, Prettier just kicked in. Things got realigned, I guess. Cool. This file really needs a refactor, so let's just start off with that. What I'm going to do is make a source folder, and within that, let's make http.js. It'll create the folder for me. Thank you. Let's also make a websocket.js. So this one file, it's not that big, it's not that complex. It basically starts an HTTP server and then adds a listener for upgrade, which is proxied or handled by the WebSocket server. And from there on, the WebSocket things are all handled by the WebSocket server. And what I want to do is I want to pull out some of these things. Still working, yay. I want to pull out some of these things to clean up the code a bit. And so the way that I'm thinking I'll do this is I have this HTTP file and WebSocket file. Each one will return, or rather export, their own type of server. So HTTP will export an HTTP server, WebSocket will expose or export a WebSocket server, and then we pipe them all back in here. So with that in mind, what I'm going to start doing is start writing the code the way I would want it to look at the end. So let's say I have that, and that's going to be src/http, and I'm going to say WebSocket server. Probably have a YAR snippet for this. Don't remember it. Let me check. Require. Actually, I don't like checking it that way. YAR snippet visit. Nope, I have nothing required. Cool. src that. And then I'm going to do the following things. I'm going to move this person here, which is something that starts off listening on the HTTP server. And even before I start that, I am going to do this. So add a handler for this. Just going to rename these. Maybe yeah, I'm going to rename it. I try to keep renames minimal initially till I get the code working, so that I don't have multiple errors to deal with. And most of them are usually because I spelled something wrong. But it looks okay in this case, not that complex. Just to verify, so I'm using Helm Swoop to do this. I really like it. It's a really good package. Try it. Helm everything is pretty good. Should try it. Cool. Identifier has already been declared. Yeah, that's fine. By the way, to get these errors in line, so I'm using flycheck as something that runs my linter, which is ESLint, and I'm using flycheck inline mode to see the errors inline. It's not available on Melpa, so you'll have to clone the repo and then add it to your node path, and so on and so forth, which is exactly what I've done. But it's super nice. It shows you exactly where the error starts. Cool. Yeah, this should be fine. So let's start moving things around. What I'm also going to do is actually keep the debuggers or the loggers that log to std out or std out within this file and pass them as parameters, just so that in the future, if I want to combine them or do something else or make a new kind of logger, I can do it all outside of it, and they're kind of sort of decoupled. Let's do that. There should be another logger here. Just gonna bring that person here. Cool. And what I want to do then is I want to pass the logger into these files. So which means I'm going to expose these as a function. not just directly export the thing out. So I'm going to pass the HTTP logger here. Gonna do that there. Cool, cool. And let's start moving these things around. So, cool. So what we need now is, so this the export from this file, which is this one, it's supposed to be a function because we passed that here. So let's do that. But first, I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to keep that out of it. And these people, I'm going to stick it inside the function. This gets, I'm going to call this HTTP log. Why? Because, again, I've used that name already and I don't want to rename a bunch of stuff. Parentheses around that. That's unnecessary. Fix that. So this that's happening right now, I've kind of stolen a function from paredit. This is splice S expression, which kind of lifts something outside of where it is right now. And yeah, that's what I use this fairly often because I make this mistake fairly often. Cool. So this goes here. By the way, this auto alignment that's happening, that's courtesy of aggressive indent mode. Yeah, very angry sounding package, but it's super helpful. Definitely recommend using it. Also, they should automatically do that for me, and I can close that there. Cool. I don't have to do any of that because prettier. Boom. Oh, gotta love prettier. HTTP server is doing something, and then something of the other somethings or something. Cool, that's fine. You can just return HTTP server. For auto completion, by the way, so things like I don't know. I use autocomplete mode, not company. Not a big fan of company. That works probably for me. Plus, this lets me search within. It lets me filter my candidates even further. So I really like it. Cool. So I have that. Sets up the app. So we make the Express app here. We set that as the handler for the built-in HTTP server here. All the imports are up there. What I'm going to do is I probably don't even need that anymore. I'm just going to put that there. Get rid of that. And that looks much cleaner. Cool. Just gonna, yeah, align that. Okay. Wow, this looks horrible. What is happening here? Okay. That is request. And I'm gonna say do that. And now that's not IP. What are you saying? IP is constant. Oh shit. Yes. Apologies. There you go. That should be better. I'm gonna remove that because that makes no sense. That is all fine. Cool. So I have my handler here, which handles everything. This looks okay. Cool. This looks fine. Let's do the same for the WebSocket chap. Gonna get all of that. Put that there. Save it. Everything is magically realigned. Love prettier. Everybody should love prettier. Prettier is amazing. This needs to export a function. Cool. Yes. That's all right. That's all right. Oh, by the way, this prettifying of symbols that's happening, well, that's courtesy of, I think it's called prettify, yeah, this one, global prettify symbols. So, you can even teach it to prettify other symbols. Like for example, this is less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, so on and so forth. Those are there by default, but people do a bunch of things, especially Haskell users. They do tons of stuff. They use mathematical symbols for all the things because, well, Haskell. I don't, but well, yeah, no, I just don't. Cool, so this is refactor. I'm just going to return that from there. So I have the WebSocket server here. Also, out of habit, I always leave 2 new lines out of, but yeah, Pretty is going to do that. Never mind. Cool. So what do we have here? We have this whole IP thing that's happening again. Something there, get the address. This will work on production because it sits behind Nginx. And I use Nginx for SSL termination and Let's Encrypt for the certificates. Cool. New WebSocket connection. This all looks fine. I feel like this should work. Let's see what happens here. So I have the loggers. That's cool. Servers. Yeah, this looks fine. So let's try running stuff. Just confirm if this is fine. Isolation. Cool. So before I start the server, there's another. So I have my own custom build distraction-free mode kind of thing, and it basically uses Olivetti mode, which I would definitely recommend. I think it's pronounced. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that one. Super nice. That and winner mode. Winner. It lets you move around windows, so I can go back to previous things and previous, like, I don't know, I can kill all of that and then come back to it. Really like it. And it uses that to basically give me this facility. And golden ratio mode rearranges or resizes my windows inside of this. Again, I'm saying windows because Emacs terminology. It should have been frames. Anyway, let's see what we have here. So we've added a bunch of files. Let me just clear that out. This S thing is again an alias for git status, a bunch of aliases. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say npm run dev, which basically builds my Docker image and then runs it. And when it runs it, it exposes a port from within the container, or rather maps a port from within the container to a port in the host container, so that we can access it from the host OS, which is, I have no idea what I'm actually running, some Mac OS, something, don't really know which one. Anyway, cool, so both the servers are started. And if we see the thing here, I exposed mapped 8585 to 8585, which means we should be able to do that. Voila, it works. Yes. Cool, we have some logs here, lovely. So let's try and play with this and see if it works. What does it do? It does all the stuff. Let's see what happens when we go here. Oh, that's what's running live. Sorry. Let's do here and potatoes are best. Cool. Let's see how that actually looks inside of the terminal. So I'm gonna say curl this. There's a way of muting anyway, doesn't matter. And do that. Cool. So the query parameters are here, the full path is here, my IP is here, host name. I don't know why that's there. The host name is always going to be where the server is running. So I'm actually going to go ahead and remove that. Host name, go away. Cool. I'm also going to remove protocol. or am I? Yeah, I'm going to remove it because it's always going to say HTTP even when it's on production, because the SSL termination happens at Nginx. From that point on, it's an upstream server, which is HTTP. Cool. Gonna do that. Gonna kill this again. Cool. Ooh. And what I'm gonna do then is run this just one more time, check if things are fine after that thing. I should probably have some tests, but I don't. So let's just do the manual way. I could have just run npm start, it would have worked, but I mean, since we are dockerizing this whole thing, let's just keep it that way and run it within that always, just to be consistent. Cool. Yep, seems to work like we expect. Let's also see if we can connect to it. Let's connect to that. Let's do that. Gonna send it. Cool. So we're getting back our value. That's always nice. Cool. And let's close this server. The connection, the website client. Should have logged all of this for us. Oh my god, buttons. Cool, there we go. Sweet, this looks like it works. So let's do this. What I'm going to do is say Docker. No, I'm going to build the Docker prod image so that I can push it to Docker Hub, and from there on my servers I'll just do a Docker pull and run it. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to take a bit. While it does that, actually no, it's not going to take a bit. Never mind. Cool. So it's tagged it as the latest that you can see. Ooh, that you can see that. So what I'm going to do now is just Docker push the image. Just gonna rewrite the previous tag I had. Not really bothered for the purposes of this. Ooh, empty lines. So I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be showing me status in these lines of the different things it's pushing, but hey, whatever. While it does that, let's start committing some things. Cool. So what do we have here? I'm gonna collapse that and that. Ooh, 1,000 lines. What is this count? Anyway, ESLint, prettier, cool. And do that. This is add ESLint and prettier support. Cool. Our Docker images push. That's always nice. Thank you. And stage that and stage that. So I'm using Magit, I don't know how to pronounce it again, as my Git wrapper. I started using it fairly recently, so I don't really know a lot of the things. But I mean, I used to use Git heavily from the terminal, hence all the aliases. But yeah, let's see how this goes. So all of these are staged. Let's commit these. What I'm going to say, a refactor code. Cool. I'm going to do that. I'm going to enable that flag. Maybe that one. And I'm going to push. And this doesn't really give me any status stuff, which is weird. But anyway, we have these things here. If I hit enter on them, I can see exactly what was the change. And here's something I really like. So Magit adds a ton of different functions, or exposes a ton of different utility functions, which some of them you have to like use git plumbing commands and git plumbing commands to get them. One of my favorite ones is to see the history for a file. I think it's called Magit log file. We can just check because again, Emacs, everything's self-documenting. So Control H K. What are we checking? ML log buffer file. Yeah, this is the function. Super helpful. It lets me see the log for this file, which is here, and I can go to any specific version by doing so. So I can copy this. I've just copied the hash, and then I think I forgot to do that. Oh yay, that was off this whole time. Apologies. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to say, let's see, what do we want to do? We want to, I don't remember the exact function, but the idea is to use find file, maggot find file, get find file. I think it's that, yeah. I can paste the revision, and it opens the same file, that revision.